The mug shattered against the floor before I realized I'd dropped it. Coffee bled into the cracks of the tile, steaming against the cold surface, and for a second all I could hear was the thud of my own heartbeat. Her words still hung in the air, thick and impossible. "I'm pregnant," she said again, voice trembling just enough to sound rehearsed. "You should probably start thinking about what this means for us, financially. Financially. Not emotionally. Not spiritually. Not even together. Just money." I stared at her across the kitchen, sunlight cutting through the blinds in sharp stripes over her face. She looked both nervous and defiant, like she was waiting for me to explode. But I didn't. I couldn't. Because I was stuck on one fact, one cold surgical documented fact. I couldn't have children. Not since the vasectomy. My throat went dry. "That's great news," I managed to say, forcing a smile that felt foreign on my face. "But, are you sure?" She blinked, eyes narrowing. "Of course I'm sure. I took 3 tests." I nodded, pretending to absorb that, my pulse hammering. "And you're certain it's mine?" Her jaw tightened. "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked away because looking at her made it worse. The soft scent of her shampoo, the familiarity of the robe she wore every morning, the small freckle on her collarbone, all of it clashed violently with what I was beginning to suspect. I thought of the clinic 2 years ago. The sterile white light. The awkward jokes the doctor made to distract me. The confirmation paperwork sealed in my desk drawer. I'd done it because she had asked me to. Said she didn't want kids yet, maybe not ever. And now she was standing here, glowing with a secret that couldn't be mine. That night she fell asleep easily, as if she just told me about a new recipe, not life-altering news. I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, the faint rhythm of her breathing filling the silence. Her phone buzzed once on the nightstand. A text. I shouldn't have looked. I knew that. But the unease had already rooted itself deep in my gut, and curiosity was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. I turned the screen just enough to see a name. Ryan. No emoji. No heart. Just Ryan. The message preview said, "He'll never know. Stop worrying." My chest went cold. I got out of bed, moving quietly, and went to the living room. I didn't want to think. I didn't want to feel. I just wanted the truth to stop twisting inside me like a blade. The next morning she acted normal. Pancakes, coffee, light chatter. Like nothing had changed. "How do you sleep?" she asked. "Fine," I lied. I watched her pour syrup with her left hand, her ring catching the light. The same ring I'd saved for months to buy. The same hand that, apparently, had typed a message to Ryan last night. I couldn't eat. The smell of food made my stomach churn. She noticed. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About us." She smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Don't start being dramatic. It's a good thing, you know. We're going to be parents." "Are we?" I said quietly. Her fork froze midair. "What's that supposed to mean?" I shrugged. "Just wondering if that's what we are doing. Or if that's what you are doing, with someone named Ryan." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush the air out of the room. She blinked rapidly, trying to compose herself. "You're insane," she whispered. "Why would you even say something like that?" "Because I saw the message," I said, voice low, steady. "And because I had a vasectomy." Her face drained of color. She laughed once, a short, nervous sound. "You're lying." "I'm not." She crossed her arms. "You're making this up to get out of responsibility." "Responsibility?" I repeated, incredulous. "For a child that can't be mine?" She stood there, trembling, not with guilt but anger. "You're pathetic. You'll say anything to make me the villain." I walked to the desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out a single folded document. My hands didn't shake, though my insides did. I slid the paper across the table toward her. "Official documentation," I said softly. "Dated 2 years ago." She didn't touch it. Just stared at it like it might burn her fingers. For a long time neither of us spoke. The sound of the refrigerator filled the space, a low mechanical hum cutting through the silence. Then she whispered, "You weren't supposed to do that." I looked up sharply. "What?" "You weren't supposed to go through with it," she said, voice cracking. "We talked about waiting, remember? You said you'd think about it." I laughed bitterly. You begged me to get it. You said you didn't want kids. You made me promise. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean forever. I stared at her, every ounce of sympathy drained from me. You didn't mean forever? Or you didn't mean with me? That question broke something between us. She sat down, suddenly exhausted, covering her face with her hands. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said quietly. I didn't plan it. Who is he? She hesitated. You don't know him. That's not what I asked. Her lips trembled. He's just someone from work. Ryan, I said. Her head jerked up. You read my phone? Don't turn this around, I said, finally letting the anger bleed through. You lied to me. For months. Maybe longer. And you were going to raise his child and let me think it was mine. She started to cry then, not the kind of crying that comes from guilt, but the kind that comes from getting caught. I didn't want to lose you, she whispered. You've always been so good to me. I didn't think you'd ever forgive me if I told you the truth. I stared at her for what felt like hours. My wife, the woman I trusted more than anyone, sat there with tears streaking down her cheeks, trying to twist betrayal into love. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm. Too calm. I think you should go, I said. She looked up, startled. What? I said you should go. Pack your things. Stay with Ryan. Or whoever else you've been lying to. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Please, she said. We can fix this. There's nothing left to fix, I said. You burned it down. Later that night, after she left, the apartment was quiet. The air felt hollow. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway, haunting in its familiarity. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the folded paper that had ended my marriage. The proof that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't cruel, that I'd just been betrayed. I thought about what she said. How she didn't want to lose me. How she thought lies could hold us together longer than truth ever could. And for the first time, I realized something that hurt even more than her infidelity. I'd been living beside a stranger. And somewhere along the way I'd stopped noticing. When my phone buzzed, I almost didn't look. But curiosity won again. A message from an unknown number. She told me everything. I'm sorry. It was signed Ryan. I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Because sorry doesn't rebuild trust. It just reminds you that it's gone.